Hey guys, it's Chris, and this is going to be a video explaining the multiple timeline theory in Westworld. This is by far the most popular theory, and I think it's pretty damn accurate at this point, so I follow this for sure. Where we're seeing two different timelines in Westworld, but we're seeing them at the same time, kind of mixed up, so it's kind of confusing. So I'm going to try to break that down a little bit and kind of explain what the hell's going on. And this also supports the theory that William is in fact the Man in Black. Alright, so let's make some sense of this damn show Westworld as far as what's going on. This has been an aspect of the show that's been kind of confusing since the beginning, but there's been several hints throughout a lot of episodes actually now that this is actually two timelines going on. I mean, the show has actually happened in one linear timeline, we're just seeing it out of order. So basically what you have is the past and the future, and the separation of time is approximately 34 years, and that's the time the last critical failure happened in the park, and this is likely when Arnold supposedly died. So if we were to see this in a linear fashion, first we would see William and Logan arriving at the park, and this is probably 35 years ago, and there are a lot of scenes actually that support that this is actually in the past. Now the most current timeline would be the timeline with Maeve, you know, as she figures out what the hell's going on, and she just figured out who the hell she actually was in this current episode. So the timeline where we see Maeve, where we see Dr. Ford walking around the park and all that, that would be the present, that would be what's going on right now. Now of course we do see characters like Dolores in both timelines because, as stated in the show itself, she is the oldest host in the park, so she would still be around in the future or the current timeline, as well as the old narratives that we're seeing with William and Logan. Another basic idea that supports this is we never see the Man in Black in the same scenes with people like William and Logan. We have seen the Man in Black come in, interact with Dolores in the main town in the current storyline in the present, but we've never seen William and Logan in the same scenes with people like Maeve, Teddy, or the Man in Black for that matter. This also explains some of the things like when we see Dolores standing up looking in the mirror at her dresser, she looks down, she sees a gun in her dresser drawer, and then a second later it's gone. But in actuality, what we were seeing were two different timelines altogether, where she's going through basically the same narrative, but in one of those timelines she actually has the gun in her drawer, the one she dug up in the yard via the voice from Arnold. So that was actually two timelines tied into one scene. Alright, so let's go through a couple of things that actually support this non-linear timeline theory that we're seeing two different times at the same time on the screen. So first we see William and Logan come to the park on a train, but we see as he walks in and he's met with his host, who he turns down, that there is an older Westworld logo here. This was a very subtle clue, but then there's been a lot more of that as well. For example, in the present timeline, when the security guys went down with Bernard to the basement on level 83, I believe it was, which is likely a very old level, which is now used as storage for old hosts who are decommissioned, we saw an old Westworld logo there as well. Also, when Dr. Ford and Bernard are having their conversation and he's having flashbacks about Arnold, when Arnold was still around 34 years ago, we see the old Westworld logo as well on the lab coats of the technicians. In the present, we see the current Westworld logo. So we see this logo when the show comes on. When Lee, the head of storytelling, is presenting his new idea to Ford and the rest of the company, we see the current Westworld logo in the back behind him on this display screen as he goes through his new narrative. And one more I found to support this as well is when Ford first walks into Westworld himself, he goes down to a lower level that seems to be a current level, and we see the current Westworld logo on this pylon here holding the damn building up. So for me, this is confirmation of the very popular theory that's seen online. I've seen it in a lot of my comments, I've seen it on posts about Westworld, etc. What we're seeing here are two different timelines at the same time, mixed in with each other, which is very confusing, but it does explain a lot of things. So it explains how, for example, Dolores can sit there and be with William and Logan in a storyline, and then in the next scene we see Dolores having a conversation with Bernard in the lab in the present, because they certainly wouldn't go pull her out of a storyline right in the middle of it when she's with William and Logan in this new town, or old town I should say. This also explains things like we saw with Lawrence. Now we saw Lawrence get rescued by the Man in Black, and then we saw him get killed by the Man in Black, and then the next thing you know we see with William and Dolores and Logan in their storyline, which would be the past, we see this Alonzo character who is basically this boss-ass smuggler that was trying to smuggle the nitroglycerin. So that explains why you see him in such a different role just moments after we saw him get his damn neck sliced by the Man in Black, and we know he's been hanging out with him for a while. And of course this certainly opens up the possibility and the likelihood, I think, that the Man in Black is actually William. He came into the park 34 years ago with his company. Somebody had mentioned to him in the present that his foundation had saved his daughter's life. So obviously he's got a lot of money. He works for this foundation. He at least works under Logan, or did work under Logan at the time, back 34 years ago. And of course they made it a point to show us how timid he was when he came into the park. He grabbed the white hat, and now of course 34 years later he's been there the entire time, or at least coming back quite often. And over time he's certainly changed quite a bit and figured out the true storyline and wanted to figure out what's really going on, and became the Man in Black. Therefore the big contrast with how kind of heartless he seems to be right now, and how innocent and shit he was when he came into the park with the white hat versus the black hat. So he's gone rogue, but he's out to find out the truth about this damn park. So anyway guys, I'll leave it there, short and sweet. I just wanted to go over that with you really quickly. Hopefully it helps somebody out, because I was certainly confused myself. But after you go back and see some of these episodes again and watch some of these scenes, it really starts to make sense to you. It really starts to pop out at you. And of course, kudos to everybody online. I got a lot of comments about this. I guess there's been some threads on Reddit about it, I'm sure. So this is certainly not my original idea. I've seen a lot of theories on this, but this was certainly something I was leaning towards anyway, because it left us so many clues in the show itself. Hopefully this helps some people out, because I know it can be confusing. It certainly was for me. So let me know what you think in the comments below. As usual, thank you for all the support. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.